following is from a cooperative project for acquiring skills essential to learning.
Hey, Coulter. Do you think you can get an off-campus permit for this afternoon? Why? I have a job cleaning the yard at this house, and it's pretty big, so I could use some help. I'll split the money with you, 60-40. 60-40? Finder's fee.
Oh, I probably shouldn't. I've been putting off studying for end-of-quarter exams. I better do that.
You're right. I told you when you first came here, the prep school is a lot harder than public school.
Well, it's not that hard. I mean, it's not hard.
What's that supposed to mean?
Hansen is not that much harder than the school I went to.
Oh, well, I said it's hard because it is harder than some public schools.
Well, it's not that much harder than my old school.
But it's a lot harder than the school I used to go to. That's where I was coming from when I said I thought this school was hard.
If that's where you're coming from, I can see your point.
Hey, Coulter, there's your roommate.
I'm a little worried about him. He's having trouble in his French class, and it's getting him down. Hey, Blake.
Hi, guys. Hang on.
Hi, Blake. Comprenez-vous français?
Very funny. No, Mom. I just sprained my arm, that's all. I mean, it didn't fall off or anything. I was just kidding. It's fine, really. Look, I have to go now. Okay. And don't worry about the arm. You too. Yeah, bye.
How come she's so upset about your arm? All you did was sprain it.
Oh, her brother, my Uncle Ralph, hurt his arm when he was young and it paralyzed his hand. So every time she hears about someone hurting their arm or hand or something, she thinks it's serious.
Blake, is this school harder than the one you went to before? I told Coulter that Hansen Prep is a hard school because it is a lot harder than the public school I went to before. But he says it's not so hard because it's not that much harder than the school he went to. So I want you to help settle it.
Can't we talk about something else?
Is Hansen Prep harder than the school you went to before?
Yes and no.
Well, that sure clears things up.
Well, I'm doing okay in some classes, but flunking out in others.
Oh, man, you're not flunking out. Come on.
You'll do all right. Don't worry about the classes.
Some of those questions were a lot more difficult than you're used to. So I have to say, the results of this third test were really quite good. Some of you need more work than others, of course. I guess you know who you are. I'm afraid we won't be able to work these problems through until Friday, however. I have to go out of town for a few days on family business. Mr. Watson will take class for me till I get back. But I'd like you to read over Chapter 8 during the next couple of nights. And I expect you to know what it's about when I get back. So, gentlemen, any questions before we call it a day? Mr. Blake, you look like you've something on your mind.
No, ma'am. Nothing.
What are you doing?
I'm leaving.
You can't leave.
Watch me.
Blake, you just can't leave school.
Well, you can if you're flunking out anyway, which is what I'm doing.
Oh, geez, you sound like a broken record.
Leave me alone, Coulter. I know what I'm doing.
You could make a hyena cry, you know that? Look, just because you're having a little trouble in French...
It's not just French.
What then?
Math.
Math?
I bombed out on that test, and Mrs. Parmenter wants to see me after class on Friday. Well, I'll show her. I just won't be there.
Parmenter wants to see you after class?
Yep. Parmenter wants to see me after class on Friday.
Parmenter wants to see you after class on Friday?
What is there, an echo in here? Yes, she wants to see me after class on Friday. I did awful on that test, and she wants to tell me so.
You missed 5 out of 20, 75%. That's not awful. Well, it's not great, but it's not awful.
Well, it's awful enough for her to want to see me after class. And I'm not waiting around to be told I'm flunking out.
Maybe that's not what she wants to tell you.
Oh, sure, I suppose she wants to say, keep up the good work, Blake.
Maybe. Look. That's right. And look, I missed the same number of questions as you did. The difference is 75% is a big improvement for me. Well, I thought Parmenter wanted to see me to tell me I was doing much better.
Well, one of us is wrong.
Hi, guys. Want to play ball with the upperclassmen? What are you having, a garage sale?
Blake wants to split.
For good?
Parmenter wrote a note at the top of his test paper. He thinks he's in trouble. The thing is, she wrote the same note at the top of mine.
Oh, the plot thickens. Well, don't lose any sleep over it. I know what this is all about. She wrote the same note on my paper, too.
What?
You see, she lives in this house that sits on about 1/3 of an acre of land. And she probably heard about my business, the Sheldon Kowalski Lawn Care Company, and she wants me to take care of her yard.
Well, what makes you think that?
I can only assume. What else could it be?
But why would she write the same note to us?
Simple. It's she's got a big yard and she knows I'll need help. And I'll split the profits with you. 50, 25, 25. Okay. 40, 30, 30. Firm.
I'm talking gross, you know.
Coulter. Coulter.
What?
You asleep?
I was.
You think Kowalski's right?
I don't know.
You know what I think?
No. But I bet you're going to tell me.
I think I'm very worried about this.
Why are you letting this bother you so much? So Parmenter wants to see you. So she wants to see all of us. So what?
You have to understand where I'm coming from. Are your parents rich? Well, my parents saved for years to send me here. Well, I just can't disappoint them.
Blake, your grades aren't that bad.
French.
Oh, forget French. You can't be perfect in everything.
And now math.
Have your parents ever told you that they expected you to be perfect?
No.
That they expected you to get A's in everything?
No.
Then why do you assume it? You're telling me that I should try and understand where you're coming from. Well, I'm telling you that you should try and figure out where your parents are coming from. Now let's get some sleep. We've got that chemistry test tomorrow.
Yeah. And Parmenter on Friday.
Quite a nice piece of work, Mr. Blake.
Thank you.
Only one thing I can see here that needs correction. O is the symbol for oxygen, but we never write it as just O. It's written as O2. Do you know why?
Because oxygen atoms always combine in twos, and they don't exist as just single atoms?
Exactly. Now, you get this...
Excuse me,
cleaned up and
does anyone know where the large graduated cylinder is?
Well, that's okay. We use the smaller one.
Mr. Kowalski, you know I don't like students going through the supply cabinet.
What are you two talking about?
About you getting the large graduated cylinder for me. I assume you heard me asking for it earlier.
No. Miss Hamilton asked me if I knew where it was. I just thought I'd ask around.
Well, I apologize, Mr. Kowalski. I thought you'd been going through the supply cabinet looking for it. I've had trouble with students doing that lately.
Did you hear what happened in chemistry today?
What?
When Kowalski came in looking for the graduated cylinder.
Nothing happened. We told him we didn't have it.
No, at first you misunderstood what he wanted.
No, we didn't. We knew he wanted the graduated cylinder.
Okay, yes, you knew that. But it's like you and Mr. Harper each got a different meaning from it. Don't you get it?
Wait a minute. Let's stop. What's this got to do with anything?
It's just like the note from Parmenter. We know that she wants to see us. That's what the notes all said. But we don't know why.
You've really got a firm grasp of the obvious. You know that?
Don't you see? It's like we took the message and then each read a different meaning into it, depending on where each of us is coming from.
Yeah.
What the meaning of the note actually depends on is where Parmenter is coming from.
Of course, there's always a possibility that she's coming from the same place as one of us. Me, for instance.
Do either of you gentlemen know if Mr. Kowalski plans to join us?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sure he'll be here.
All right. We'll wait a few moments more.
Something tells me this hasn't got anything to do with anything we thought it had something to do with.
Something tells me the same thing.
I do hope Mr. Kowalski hasn't forgotten us. I'm afraid we'll have to make a start. Mr. Blake, you probably have a good idea what this is all about.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought so. I called your father. We had a long chat. Mr. Blake, something wrong?
No, ma'am. It's just I'd like a second chance, that's all.
A second chance? I don't get your meaning. I thought you'd be proud. I know I am. Your father certainly is, just like Mr. Coulter's father and Mr. Kowalski's.
Well, Mrs. Parmenter, are you talking about my grade? The one on my last test?
Why would I want to talk about that? I expect you to do better on the next one. By the way, Mr. Coulter, you're improving. Keep up the good work. Oh, you thought I wanted to talk to you about grades. Heavens, no. This gentleman is from the local paper. He wanted to do a story on the school. In checking the records, he discovered that I had taught not only you, but each of your fathers as well. I wasn't quite sure that your father was the same James Blake I had taught 22 years ago. Well, now that's all cleared up. This gentleman...
I'm sorry for being late, Mrs. Parmenter, but I thought you'd like to see what you get for your money. This roller is the best one in Springfield.
Does he carry on like this often?
It's okay, Mrs. Parmenter. You just have to know where he's coming from.
Thinkabout is supported by state and provincial agencies working through the Agency for Instructional Television. Together, serving education.